Okay, good morning from the Holy Land, and we're up to Mem Tes Amud Aleph. Today's stop Mem Tes Amud Aleph. We were discussing the Kivsei Atzeres. Interestingly enough, the Kivsei Atzeres Shaloi Lishma is a Shalmei Tzibor. Shaloi Lishma, according to one opinion, would be Kasha L'Shloi Oilo B'Al M'Shem Chayva. That was the opinion of the Gemara and of the Tanit Bei Levi. We saw opinion of Rav Yitzchak, who said it's puzzle because in the pasuk he's makish into a chatas, just like a chatas shaloi lishma is puzzle. Who are then the kivsei atzeres? And today we're going to have a kind of a third opinion, but not a third opinion. It's very interesting. Okay, we know that on I don't think I have it anymore. I might have it. No, I don't have it anymore. I remember the psukim that by Shavuos we said that there was, aside from the two kvasim, they brought two elim, one par, and seven kvasim. That's oilus, right? They were all oilus. So we're gonna have a very funny case. This person went ahead and he thought these were elim, and the kvasim. The difference between a kevis and an ayil is a year, fellas. A kevis is a year old, and an ayil is 2 years old. So it's not such a crazy case that the guy made the following mistake. And we're going to see it, two interesting halachas. Says the Gemara, Hani Rava Rabba Barachana Kame Derav Kivsei Atzeres Sheshachtun Lushum Elim. The Kivsei Atzeres, these are shlamim that you shechted l'shum elim. You thought that way they were kfas. You thought they were kfasim. Well, we're going to see the case. So pashtus, it's a shlamim l'shem oila, guys. Again, kivsei atzeres are kfasim, and elim are the oila, and the atzeres. So pashtus, it's a case of shlamim l'shem oila, which should be kasha el shloi oila b'al m'shem chayva, which is what the Gemara says. Ksherim v'lo oila b'al m'shem chayva. Okay, that's what the Yeshiva Abar Ochana said in front of Rav. Amalei Rav told Rav Rachana, not only alu, but vi'alu. Not only is it kasha, but it's alu l'baylim shem chayva. Not only is it kasha, but it's alu l'baylim shem chayva. So it's a very interesting case, right? It's a very interesting case. You have a case of apparently shaloi lishma. You have a case of kvasim that you shechtel l'shem oila, and Rav is holding that it should be oila, that should be good. Guys, you hear the chiddush. Rav is holding that it should be good. So Rav Chisda says Rav Chisda, Mistabla Milsa de Rav is Bikasava Elim. They really were sheep, and he thought they were rams. V'shachtan l'shum kvasim, and he shechted it l'shum kvasim for the right reason. In other words, he thought it was an oila, and he shechted it l'shem what? L'shem the kivsei atzeres. He shechted it l'shem the kivsei atzeres. So it's an oila l'shem shlamim, but the mistake was instead of realizing that it's kvasim, he thought they were elim. He thought they were elim, right? That's what he thought. He thought they were elim, right? So in this case, the shari kvasim l'shum kvasim nishchatu. In this case, it's sheep for sheep. Okay, guys, again, outside, we know that accompanying the kivsei atzeres were an additional 10 animals which were oilus. Among those 10, 2 of them were elim. Says Rabbi Baruch Chana in front of Rav, if you have the kivsei atzeres and you shech that in the shem elim, it's kasha, but it doesn't l'shem chayva. So that's pashtus and oila. L'shem you're shechting oila shlamim l'shem oila. You shechted kivsei atzeres, which is shlamim l'shem oila. Rav says not only is it kasha, but you were yotzei the mitzvah. You were yotzei the mitzvah of the kivsei atzeres, and you would have to make it up. So now the Gemara is grappling. What exactly is Rav's case? Where Rav said it's kasha, what is the case? So here would be the case. He thought they were elim. He thought they were rams. They were really sheep. Again, guys, you can make a mistake. Rams and sheep. One's a year old, and one is 2 years old. One's a year old and one is 2 years old. Good. So now you're going ahead and you're bringing these. You think they're elim, and you bring in l'shem kvasim. You bring it for what? For the right purpose. You're bringing it for kirsiyat seres. Their Rav would say it's kosher. Their Rav would say it's kosher. You made a mistake in the animal, but go for the etzim carbon you bought for the right reason, and therefore it should be okay. Avol kesava elim v'shachtel l'shem elim. But if you thought they were rams and you shechted for rams, meaning it's a shlomim, and you're shechting it for an oila, it's a shlomim. You thought that what? They're really a shlomim. They're really sheep, and you shechted it as an oila. Then loy, then it would not. Rav would say it's not oil. It's not oil by Hashem chayva. Excuse me. It's not. Yeah, it's not oil by Hashem chayva. Right. So again, Rav said a chiddush over here that even though you messed it up, it's good. Where does it make a mistake if you messed it up? It's good. Where you thought one thing, you bought it for the right reason, and it turned out to be the right thing. You thought it was rams, it wasn't. It was sheep. You bought it for sheep. In that case, it's good. However, if you thought it was rams and you bought it for rams, meaning you didn't bring it for the right reason, and really they were sheep, so it's sheep, which is a shlomim, l'shem oila, which is what? That's a rule of thumb from Mizvachim, first Mishnah. It's kasha, shaloi lishma, el shaloi oila l'bayil m'shem chayva. Why is it not good? It's because akira b'tois have akira. This case is an akira b'tois. Right? You were oiker b'tois. You thought it was elim. You thought it. If you thought, in other words, I thought it was elim, and therefore I bought it for elim. Had I known it was kvasim, I would have bought it for kvasim. Had I known it wasn't an oila, that it was a shlamim, I would have bought it as a shlamim. Guys, look, I'm interchanging the word oila for rams and sheep for shlamim. It's just a little bit easier, okay? So now, but if it's rams, then what? Then it's what? It's kosher, but it doesn't. You're not yotzei chiyuv. Why? Because I made a mistake. The only reason I brought it for a ram because I thought it was a ram. Had I known it was a sheep, I would have bought it as a sheep. Had I known it was a shlamim, I bought it as shlamim. So a male akira b'tois, I was oika the carbon b'tois, is shmei akira, is a good akira. Therefore, Rav, according to this explanation of Rav Chisda, would say in this case it doesn't work. Okay, that's what Rav said. That's what Rav Chisda said in Rav. Rabbi says akira b'tois lo yavi akira. No, akira b'tois is not an akira, meaning if I thought it was rams and I bought it for rams, right? It would be what? It was. I'm not oikerit. It's not considered an akira. I saw a very nice pshat, fellas. I will consider it like I brought it stam. If you remember from Zvachim Beis or Beis, what happens if you bring it stam? Not that you went shaloi l'shma, you brought it stam, then it's kosher and it works, right? By gittin it doesn't work, you might remember, but stam by kochim does work. So Rav disagrees with Rav Chisda. He says, in fact, not only Eilim Kvasim would it not Oila Shem Shlomim would it work, even Oila L'Shem Oila would work, because the Akira, the mistake, had you known that it's Kvasim, doesn't count. So I'll consider it that I'm bringing Kvasim Stam. Okay, let's go. It's not easy. Let's reiterate what I just said, and then we'll begin to ask on it, okay? Accompanying a carbon, aside from the kivsi atzeres, on atzeres you're bringing actually 20 carbonas. We saw the ones in Pashas Pekudim, right, in Sefer Pekudim, in Bamidbar and Pinchas. So those are all musafim, and here you're bringing what? The ones that are ala lechem. You're bringing 10 ala lechem. If you might remember the difference, guys, over there it's 2 parim and 1 elim. I don't know why I'm doing this, make you more crazy. Over here it's 1 par and 2 elim. Okay, the bottom line is you have 2 elim over here. So I got 2 elim and 2 sheep. The sheep are shlomim, the elim are oilis. I go ahead and I bring the elim, l'shem, I bring the kvasim, I'm bringing the shlomim, l'shem oila. I'm bringing the 2 sheep for rams. So Pashas, I'm bringing the shlomim, l'shem oila. Says Rabbi Rachana, it's kasha. Okay, that's Zvachim Aleph. That's 101, Zvachim 101. Says Rav a huge Kiddush. Says Rav, in that case, if it's kvasim that you're bringing, even though you bring l'shem oila, not only is it kasha, you would have been yoitzi yechiv to bring the kivsi atzeres. You would have been yoitzi yechiv to bring the kivsi atzeres. That's what Rav said. Now we have machloikis Rav Chisda and Rabba is to the extent of where did Rav say this? We have machloikis between Rav Chisda and Rabba. Suggests Rav Chisda the only time it works is if it's he thinks they're elim, but he's bringing them for shlomim. He's bringing them for shlomim, meaning he's bringing it for the right reason. In that case, we'll say, okay, since these are sheep and these are sheep, right? Great, it works, and therefore you yotzi chiv. However, if he thought these are rams and these he bought it for rams, so he's bringing a shlom m'shnei oila, it doesn't work. Why? Because Akira being Oiker, thinking that that you're bringing it for rams, right? Had you known it was sheep, of course you would have bought it for sheep. Since you thought it's rams, you bought it for rams. That is Oiker, even though they're sheep. That's Oiker, right? And therefore it's kasha, but it doesn't work. Says Rabbah, no. Says Rabbah, in that case, since had he known it was sheep, he would have bought it for sheep, even though he bought it for rams. We say that's not an Akira. We'll view it as if he bought it stam. If you bring it stam, then it's kasha. Guys, you good? So that's the machlokes between the two. Now the Gemara is going to question this idea whether Akira, if you make a mistake, Yoika, whether it's Shmei Akira, but Akira b'tois, whether it's an Akira like Rav Chisda, or no, it's not Akira like Rav. So Amar Rabba, change the gears, so guys. Amar Rabba umoisvinu nashmaitzin. Rabbi just said, Akir b'tois, lo yave Akira. Rabbi said, Akira b'tois, lo yave Akira. Now he's going to ask on himself. Okay. Hakahanim shepiglu. Kahanim that are mafagal a carbon. You bring a carbon, you expect the kohen is going to go ahead and do the job, and he messes up. So in Baba Kama, we call this a mazik. In Gittin, we have a sugya where the hezek she'ena nikah, shmei hezek or shmei hezek, where a hezek that's not recognizable, whether it's a hezek or not. There's no discernible difference in a carbon after you mafagal the carbon. There's no difference. It's just either has a chi of karis or it's asa. It doesn't make a difference. But okay, so this sugya shows up in Gittin. So what did the kohen do? The kohen went ahead, shepiglu b'mikdash, right? Mezidim, if he did it b'mezid, chayavim, he's chayiv. He's chayiv to pay what? To pay. Hashoig again, b'turin. But shoigig he be potter to pay. Again, this is a raya l'chayra that lo shmei hezek. Good, because of shmei hezek. V'tani Allah, pigul and pigul. Whether he did it b'mezid or he did it b'shoigig, it shafts a pigul on the carbon. Now, pigul, let's go with this sort of chutz l'zman. What's a chutz l'zman, fellas? I have a chatos that's supposed to be eaten for what? For 1 day and a night. And I do it l'shem shlomim, which is 2 days and a night. So if I have in mind for a chatos l'shem shlomim, it's chutz l'zman. It's a chatos. And I have in mind shlomim. That's pigul. It's chutz l'zman. You're going ahead and making it what? A longer period of time. Hey chidami. Now we want to know the case of shogeg. That's what we need. The case of shogeg. Hey chidami. What's the case of shogeg? Ilema de yoda de chatos he. If you're telling me it's a chatos and you know it's a chatos, become a chashiv ba l'shem shlomim, right? And you think of shlomim, so the kohen maliciously goes ahead. He takes a chatos and he has in zin, and even verbalizes, according to Rashi, Mem Aleph and Svachim, he verbalizes that what? That it is a shlomim. Hi shoigegin. You're calling him a shoigeg? Mezidin have. He's amazing. He's amazing. So obviously, what? That's not the case. We need a case of shoigeg where it's pigul. Elalav, Tkosava Shlomim, who it's a chatas. He thinks it's a shlomim. So, guys, this is Akira B'tois. Had he known it's a shlomim, he would have bought it as a shlomim. But he thinks it's a chatas. So he thinks, excuse me. It's a chatas. He thinks it's a shlomim, and he's bringing this a shlomim. So he's making a mistake, right? Had he known it's a chatas, he would have bought it as a chatas. So this is the same case as above. Had he known it was sheep, he would have bought it as a sheep, but he thought it was rams, so he bought it with rams. So too over here, he thought it was shlamim, and he bought it as a shlamim. And shoygim, what did we say? V'katani pigul and pigul. Alma Akira b'tois, uprooting a carbon mistakenly. Havi Akira, it's a kasha on Rabbah, on himself. Rabbi himself said, by the case of Elim L'Shem Elim, it's Akira b'tois, and it's still kasha, and you don't have to bring the kivsei atzeres, kosloi havi Akira. So too over here, it shouldn't be pigel, right? It shouldn't be pigel. Why? Because he wasn't like a carbon. It should have been a shlomim for a shlomim. It should have been a shlomim for a shlomim, but not. We're saying it is Iker, and it becomes the chatas. It really is a shlomim. He's being it's the same shlomim. If that's the case, there is no pigel. Yeah, we said pigul and pigel that there is pigel. It's akir b'tois. Had he known it's a shlomim instead of thinking it's a chatas, kasha, you see, a kasha on Rabba on himself. He knows it's a chatas. Guys, if he knows it's a chatas, then it's amazing. If he knows it's a chatas, then what? It's amazing. It says the Gemara, and he was mechashev l'shum shlamim. He's mechashev l'shum shlamim. It's amazing. It's a carbon chatas. He knows it's a chatas. He's bringing us a shlamim. Is a shaygeg. Boy, mutta. He thought it's mutta. I don't know why we think it's mutta. I have no idea. But he thinks it's mutta. The bottom line, it's not a kasha on Abaya's saving face for his Rebbe Rabbah. What's he saying? It's not a case of akir b'tois. He knew what he was doing. There's no tois over here. In other words, the tois would be it's a shlomim, and I think it's a chatas. No, it's a chatas, and it's a chatas, and I know it's a chatas. It's a chatas, and I know it's a chatas, right? Since I know it's a chatas, it's not a kir b'tois, and therefore it's not a kasha on Rav. It's that we call it shaygig again. It's amazing. No, it's mutta. He thinks it's mutta. Okay, that's the kasha. That's the teretz. Okay, Masiv Rav Zera. If Rav Zera is going to kasha, this is going back to the beginning of the Masechta. This is going back all the way to the beginning of the Masechta. Masiv Rav Zera. Rav Shimon Omer. Kol menachos shenikmetzu shaloi lishman. All menachos that you do a kmitza shaloi lishman, kisherais de kasha, va'olu labai l'shem chayva. Okay, now this is all. In other words, as opposed to zvachim, where we had a chilik between Pesach and Chata Shaloi Lishma, by Menachos, all of them work. Sheina machvas doimis l'zvachim, so because machvas is not similar to zvachim. Now a machvas is a flat pan, a marcheshes is a tall pan. A machvas is going to be hard, a marcheshes will be softer in nature. They're both fried. She'akoimitz machvas l'shum marcheshes. If this is Shaloi Lishma, you're going it's Shinu Kodesh, really. You're taking a mincha, you're doing a kmitza of a machmas, and you have in mind a macheshes. Ma'aseh mochichim alecha, the fact that there's a discernible difference between a machmas and a macheshes shows that whatever you thought is, we don't care. Shehi machvas, let me read it correctly. It shows it's a machvas. Chareva, l'shum belula, a chareva, a minchas chayta, which does not have shemen, l'shum a belula, a mincha that does have shemen. Ma'isa mochichela, she chareva, we know it's a chareva. So whatever you thought, we're going to do by the wayside. Aval bizvachim eina came. Shechita achas l'kulan, kabbalah achas l'kulan, zukachas l'kulan, so you don't have ma'isa mochichin alecha. Okay? Good. Now, you just said mincha, you said zvachim. Now let's go back to mincha. Heichidami. What exactly is the case of machvas and macheshes? Elaim with the yodai the machvas he. If you knew it was a machvas, v'kokomatz le'l'shem macheshes, and you then went ahead and did l'shem macheshes. So guys, this is shtickle mezit, correct? So ki ma'isa mochichin my have. When ma'isa mochichin, why do we care? It should not be a good carbon. You went ahead and maliciously took a carbon that was a machvas and you said it's a macheshes, which it's not. The action, it's the mitzias itself says not like that. Right now in the Havamina, I don't care. You will oika the shame machvas by calling it a macheshes. It should be a macheshes. Right? That's the Gemara's kasha. So l'chayre, that's not the case. Because if that was the case, it would not be oila. It wouldn't count. Good. Elolav, it must be the kasava marcheshes he. It's a machvas, and he thinks it's a marcheshes, and he brings a marcheshes, which is asugi, guys, right? It's an elim, and he brings it. Okay, now this is called akir b'tois. The kokometz le l'shum marcheshes, right? He it's a machvas. He does the chisa marcheshes, the ta, and he makes a mistake. The hachahu, and now, why are we saying it's kosher, guys? Guys, right now at this point in time, let's stop. Please look at me. Right now, if you hold akira b'tois, loy havi akira, correct? You hold it's not an akira. So if I have a machavas, I mistakenly think it's a marcheshes, and I do the kamis l'shem marcheshes, it still should be a good carbon. Why? Because akira b'tois, they have akira. That I think it's a marcheshes, I don't care. Good? But that's not what it says. There's another knech. It says, you know why it's a good carbon? Because maisa machiach alaha. If it's the akira, it's mashma the akira alone, it would not be kosher. The reason it's kosher is maisa machiach alaha. It's a raya that akira b'tois have a akira. I'm giving you a reason why this is a good carbon. It's reason B, not reason A, because reason A is not a good reason. I'm bringing a machavas l'shem marcheshes. I made a mistake. I thought it was a marcheshes. Really, it's a machvas. That's called akir b'tois, and it's a good carbon. I'll tell you why. You know why? Because ma'isa machiach alav. But one second, if akir b'tois layavi akira, why do you need the svara ma'isa machiach alav? The fact that it's not a good akira, it should lie a machvas, correct? That's the Gemara's raya that akir b'tois havi akira. Says the Gemara inside. Let's see it inside. The hacha elalav the kasava marcheshes he the kakometz lo l'shem marcheshes the ta'a the hacha hu the maseh machich leha. The reason why it's a good carbon because ma'aseh machiach that it's a machavas, not a marcheshes. Haba alma without the reason ma'aseh machiach leha akir b'tois habi akira kasha on Rabbi. You see, akira b'tois. Had you gone ahead and said l'shem machvas, even though it's a shem acheshes, even though it's a machvas, you would have been oika the shem. Good, because without ma'aseh machiach, it's the whole reason it's good is because reason B, not because reason A. It says Gemara Amalei Baya again. Baya comes to the defense of Rabba. La'olam diyoda the machvasi. I know it's a machvas. Aye, right. The kokometz le'l'shem acheshes. U'de ka'amrit ki ma'aseh machiach leha mai have. Right? You're saying, you guys, in other words, I'm doing this on purpose. Guys, it's no shaykhis to Akira. Guys, it's no shaykhis to Akira. I'm maliciously doing the following. I'm taking a machvas, and I'm saying I'm bringing it l'shem marcheshes. So it's not an Akira b'tois. Guys, this is the point. Once it's not Akira b'tois, it has no svara whatsoever, no shaykhis to the sugya, right? It's not Akira b'tois. There is no tois. I went ahead and said this machvas is a marcheshes. It's not. I says the Gemara. So, what do you mean? How can you tell me that's a good carbon? You know what the answer is? Ma'isa meichiach v'rabba l'tamei dama rabba change the gersa machshaved le'minkra pasal rachmana. A machshaved that you don't recognize pasals. Machshaved the minkra le'pasal rachmana. Guys, I don't expect you to remember this. It's a long time ago. It's almost 50 blot ago. When he said, I'm bringing this machvas, l'shem acheshes, you take a look. What do you see? You see a flat pan. You see a potato kugel. Where's nothing? You see a potato kugel. You don't see a Yerushalmi kugel. Yerushalmi kugel, the big Yerushalmi kugel. Now, Avrami, now you understand it. You see a flat potato kugel. You don't see a fat Yerushalmi kugel. So Mamela, good he said marcheshes. Who cares? I don't care what you say. That's the reason. In other words, even so now, it has nothing to do with being oike b'tois. There is no tois. The reason it works is ma'isa machiach, that his words are foolish. So the bottom line is, Rabba stays steady. So going back to the beginning of this sugya, going back to the beginning of the sugya, if I have the kivsiyat seres and I bring it l'shem elim, according to Rabbi Baruch Chana, it's no different than any other shaloi l'shma. It's kosher v'lo olabam l'shem chayva. According to Rav, you got a new madrega. According to Rav, it's going to say it's kosher. We have machloikas between Rav Chisda and Rabba as to the mitzias of Rav. according to Rav Chisda, who holds Akira, B'tois Shmei Akira, it must be speaking where they were kfasim. You thought they were elim, and they really were kfasim. So therefore, it turns out to be kfasim l'shem kfasim. Good. According to Rav Chisda, even according, but if it's elim l'shem elim, it won't work. According to bigger chiddush, according to Rabbi, akira b'tois lo yav akira. We this had he known their kfasim sheep, he would have bought them as sheep. Therefore, we do away with this elim l'shem elim, and therefore what it would be oil l'shem chayva, and you would be to the mitzvah of kivsiyat seres on what on Shavuos. Not an easy Gemara. You guys are good? I hope so. Anyway, it's Daf Yomi. We got to go on. Says the Mishnah. That finishes the Kivsiyat Seres. Now, the Mishnah is cryptic. We'll see more clarity in the Gemara. The Mishnah is a bit cryptic. We'll see more clarity in the Gemara. Hatamidim ein ma'akven es hamusafim, v'lo hamusafim ma'akven es hatamidim. The Korban Tamid does not stop you from being the Musaf, nor does the Musaf stop you from being the Tamid. We'll see what that means. Lo Musaf ma'akven zeh, and the Korban Musaf is not ma'akven each other. Lo yikrivu keves b'boiker. If you don't bring the keves in the morning, yakrivu bein rabayim. It doesn't stop you from bringing the Korban bein rabayim. So you didn't bring the Korban Tamid shel Shachar. You can still bring the Korban Tamid shel bein rabayim. Rav Shimon, Emasai, Bisman Shaya Anusim. When could you bring the Korban bein rabayim? When Shaya Anusim, you were not as the kind of Anusim like Shaygin. Avalim Hoya Mezidim. If maliciously they didn't bring the Korban Tamid shel Shachar, Lo Yakrivu Keres Baboiker, then therefore Lo Yakrivu bein rabayim. Lo Yaktiru Ketaris Baboiker. If you didn't bring the morning Ketaris, Yaktiru bein rabayim, you do bring the Korban, the Ketaris in the afternoon. Rav Shimon, v'kula hoisa kreva bein rabayim, right? And all of it was brought in the afternoon. Okay, we'll see what that means. Now, this is not a connected guy. This is a total new thing. Even though it says a shin that you should connect it, means she'ein mechanchen es mizbeach hazov el b'ktaris hasamim. The first time you use the mizbeach hazov, it has to be used the ktaris hasamim. V'lo mizbeach ha'oila el b'tamid shel shachar. V'lo yasa shulchan el b'lechem aponim b'shabes. So the din of chinuch is that the chinuch of the mizbeach hazav is the ketaris, and the mizbeach ha'ola is the chamesh shachar. The shulchan is lechem panim Shabbos, and the menorah is lighting it in the evening. Okay, let's focus on the first part. That's the negay rest of the daf. What does it have to do with that the musaf is not ma'akiv the tamid, nor is the tamid ma'akiv the musaf? So what's going to happen is the Gemara is going to ask a kasha, and it's going to bring our Mishnah in to be placed at the kasha. It's going to buy you, and we're going to bring our Mishnah in and get some clarity as to what the pshat in our Mishnah is. Says the Gemara. Boy minei Rav Chia bar Ovin me Rav Chisda. Rav Chia bar Ovin asked from Rav Chisda, Tzibur she'en lehem tamidim umusafim. You only have X amount of money. You could buy musafim. Or you could buy what? Or you could buy Tamidim. You could buy Musaf Tamid. Ezaman Kaidim, which comes first? Hechidami. Ilema Tamidim Diyuma, Umusafim Diyuma. If you have money only for that day, you have only money for that day, Pshita, Tamidim Adifa. The Avalid Tader, it's Tader, Umikudish, and it's Kaidesh. And Tamidim the Tamidim the Yuma, we saw the Yuma, but okay, perish. On a regular day, the Korban Tamid is always Tadir from everything. On any day, it's always Tadir. Let's say it's Rosh Chodesh, and you're bringing a Musaf. So this Musaf has the Kedusha of Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh. So the Tamid also has the Kedusha, of Rosh Chodesh. So it's a Tamid Shel Shachar and a Tamid Mekudesh of Rosh Chodesh. So whatever Maila the Musaf has would go ahead and be one-upmanship by the Tadir, by the Korban Tamid. Because it's not only the Maila of Rosh Chodesh Musaf, it's Kaddish. So is the Korban Shachris Tamid Kodesh. In addition, it's Tadir. So now there's no Shaila. So of course you're going to spend the money on what? On the carbon tamid. So it can't be speaking the same day that you need money to buy a carbon the same day. That because that would be a no-brainer. That you would not need Rav Chia Ba'alvin to ask him Rav Chisda. Okay? Ella, it must be speaking, Tamidim dilamachar, umusafim da idna. It must be speaking tamid for the next day and musaf for this day. Let's see Rashi. Tamidim dilamachar umusafim da idna kigoin. The yesh lehem b'Shabbos shnei kvasim levad hatamidim. So you had two kvasim aside from what the karbit tamid. So now, fellas, I have two kabbanis that I can bring for the musaf. If I bring those two ones for the musaf, I won't be able to bring the tamid the next day because I won't have kabbanis. The kami boile im yakriveim hayoim lemusafim. If those two sheep I'm going to bring today for musafim, tamid lemachar, I'm not going to have one for the next day. So what do I do? So guys, here's the shaila. You only have enough money, right? So it was Shabbos. You already bought the carbon tamid. Again, because if you didn't, you'd have that would be the same day. You'd have the tamid and you'd have the kodesh, right? So you bought the carbon tamid shel shachris. You bought the carbon tamid shel ben abayim. You have enough. Now, what about the musaf? I have two more kabbanas. If I bring these now musaf today on Shabbos, I won't have it Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. What takes precedence? The tamid or that's the kasha. Okay? That's the kasha. Tamidim adifa shekain tadir. Oidilma musaf madifa v'havilei mekudish. These tamidim tomorrow, fellas, are tadir, but they're not kodesh. These musaf makodesh. So again, when it was a shaila of just kodesh, and the same day it was tadir kodesh, there was no brainer. Here, it's 1-on-1. Really, the Gemara shaila is what takes precedent, tadira or kodesh? Does the tadir of musaf of the tamid take precedent over the kodesh of musaf? That's the kasha. What takes precedent? Good. That's the Gemara's kasha. So Amalei, Rav Chisda answered Rav Chia bar Avin, Tinisua. You learned it, it's a Mishnah. Hatamidim ein ma'akvin as hamusafim. The tamidim are not ma'akiv the musaf. V'lo musaf ma'akvin as hatamidim. V'lo musaf ma'akvin as zeh. Now, hey chidami, what exactly is? Now, guys, we're going to get pshat in the Mishnah now. Guys, we're now going to get pshat in the Mishnah. Hey chidami, what's pshat in the Mishnah? Ilema de islay. If you're telling me you have enough for both, ulakadem, and the question is that which comes first? How do you know that something right doesn't come before the tamid shel shachris? Tamid leima va'orach Allah ha'oila v'amarav. What does it mean ha'oila? Mean ha'oila b'shoina. Nothing comes before the tamid comes. That's the first carbon of the day. So can't be speaking, right? It can't be speaking. The shaila is what comes first, where you haven't. In other words, I have enough karbonis, and the shaila is which, in other words, ma'akiv. That could you bring the musaf before, right? You can't bring anything before that, right? Ela pshita the lesle must be speaking that you don't have. It must be speaking you don't have. And what's pshat therefore in the Mishnah that whichever one a ma'akvin zeh. Right? The idiyuma amai tadu mekudesh tadu radif. If it's speaking, it can't be speaking that the musaf is not ma'akiv the tamid, because the tamid would come first. It's tadu v'kodesh. The tamid is tadu v'kodesh. It would come first. So that can't be the case that it's speaking that day. Ella must be speaking lav l'machar. It must be speaking. I have enough, right? It must be that what? I don't have enough kabbanis. Guys, again, guys, look at me. If you have enough kabbanis, there's a no-brainer. You're going to bring, no carbon can be brought before the carbon tamid shel shachris. So therefore, it must be, that's not the shaila. It must, when the Mishnah says that they're not ma'akiv each other, it must be speaking when you don't have enough kabbanis. You don't have enough. Okay? Now, what's it speaking when you don't have enough? So if you don't have enough and it's the same day, it's Shabbos, of course you're going to bring the carbon tamid because you have two. Tadir, and Kodesh. And this is most of just Kodesh. So it can't be. Ella must be speaking Shabbos. You have enough for what for most of that day. You have enough for what the Tamid the next day. And what does it say? It's not ma'ak of each other. So what do you see? In the answer to your Shaila, do whatever you want. Kehadadi, they're the same. That's what the Gemara wants to say now. Elalav, the lamachar. It must be speaking lamachar. That must be speaking that you have one for today, but if you bring it today, you won't have one for tomorrow. The Ketani, Ema Akvan Zeh, Alma Kehadadi. So we see in answer to your question, whichever one you bring, it's fine. That so what? So Rav Chisda is answering Rav Chia bar Avin. You want to know if you have a carbon for one day, only in which comes first, the musaf or the tamid shal shachris, which comes first. In other words, does tadir take precedence of a kodesh or kodesh take precedence of tadir? And the answer is neither. That's the answer. Guys, you here do kimta of our Mishnah. Do kimta of our Mishnah. If it's speaking, you have enough karbonis. The first carbon you're going to bring is the carbon tamid shal shachris. So you can't tell me that what you can bring the musaf before. You can't tell me you bring the musaf before. That has to be the first carbon of the day. So it must be speaking. You don't have enough karbonis. Now, if you don't have enough karbonis and it's speaking the same day, we know tadir takes precedent. Ella must be the tadir is the next day, and the shaila is: does the kodesh of today, the musaf of today, take precedent over the tadir of tomorrow? That's what the Gemara is asking. And what's the answer? Ema akvin zeh. So the Chayre Rav Chisda's Paishet, Rav Chia bar Avin Shaila. Alma Kiyadadininu. Amalei Abaye Loilam Dislay. You have it. You have it. You have enough. And what's the Shaila? Ulakadim. And the Shaila is, which comes first? Could you bring the Musaf before the carbon tamid shel shachar? It says ha'oila mashma, the shach has to be first. With the kashala shlayedava koydem mitzvah, right? And for the Gemara mitzvah almahu. Lechatchila, you should bring what? You should bring the tamid shel shachris first. Bidi eved, you can bring the musaf first. And that's Pshat in our Mishnah, guys. Now, from the Shaila, we're going back to our Mishnah and explain the Mishnah. Go back to the Mishnah. Straight in the Mishnah. Hatamidim ema akven es musafim. Lo musafim es makven es tamidim. We're talking about pecking order. Bidi eved, you can bring lichatchila, you should bring what? The tamid before the musaf. Bidi eved, if you bring the musaf before the tamid, it's okay. But it has no bearing on the shaila of having more, only having one carbon. We weren't placed with the shaila. We're not placed with the shaila. Okay. So now the Gemara is going to go ahead and try again to be placed with the shaila. Again, what's a shaila? If you have musif on day one and you have tadir on the next day, which takes precedent? Okay, which takes precedent? That's the ukimta. Guys, the ukimta is not the same day. That's tadir v'shena tadir koydem. Right? The shaila is the shaila is going to be you have the one day you could bring the kodesh, the musaf, and the next day you could bring the tamid, and you only have one which takes first. You only have one carbon which takes first. Okay, says the Gemara, Tashma. Ein peichsin mishisha talayim hamivukarim b'lishkas hatlayim. One of the chambers in the Beis Hamikdash was the lishkas hatlayim. That was the place where they kept the sheep. You needed at all times to have the minimal you could have is 6 checked out sheep. You needed 6 checked out sheep. Kidei l'Shabbos u'l'shtei yomim toivim shel Rosh Hashanah. Well, we have the 3-day yontif, right? How do you have a 3-day yontif? Shabbos, at least in Eretz Yisrael, Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, right? Shabbos, Sunday, and Monday. Now, I'll need each day. I will need one for each, two for each day. So I have to have 6. I can't stop handling around. I have to have 6 checked out. Hey, Chidami, what exactly does it mean that you have to have 6? If you say combined all the tamidim and all the musafim, tuvahave, there's a total of 22. If you count the 22, so it's not speaking about tamidim musafim. Elalav, it must be speaking the lesle. In other words, it's not speaking about the total, it's speaking about where I don't have. So this case of 6 is where I don't have 22. I only have six. Yes, Heshi.
Can Rosh Hashanah come out on a Sunday? I'm not sure. You said Rosh Hashanah is on a Sunday.
And a
Can't come
Monday.
out on.
Sunday and a Monday. Again, you have Shabbos, Sunday, and Monday, right?
I think it's
Yeah,
Thursday,
I thought Rosh Hashanah can't be like Motzei Shabbos.
it's not
And
that
those,
important. Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos.
Is that Bisman Hazeh?
yeah.
Maybe in old times, yes.
Oh,
Where
maybe.
we,
Okay.
where
All
we
right.
speaking? Where are we speaking?
All right. I'm speaking then. I'm
Right.
thinking then
Heshi's
also.
right. The rule is low adu Rosh. Rosh Hashanah can't come out on a Sunday, a Wednesday, or a Friday.
Don't you remember your childhood when you used to do that, when it came out like that?
I couldn't get it out fast enough.
Okay, so if it's Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, that'd be Bisman Hazeh. But it's actually isn't a question, but in Bisman, as I answered, B'shas Re'iyah, and the Kaddish Re'iyah could even come out on a Sunday. Okay, very good. Okay, but I knew it was 3 days in a row, or else it made no sense, right? I need to get 3 days in a row. Okay, says the Gemara Vayta. So now I have these six. Now, obviously, I don't have enough karbanis. I only have these six. So I only ilay medislay to me the musafim tuvahavi elalav the leslay ushmamina. We see from here that tamidim adifi. How do you see that? Says Rashi, ushmamina tamidim adifi, parallel to the Gemara. The loya minon yakiv ha'arba b'Shabbos the tamidim ulemusafim the yivatel tamidim yom tov sheni, and you'll be vatel tamidim yom tov sheni shel Rosh Hashanah. Guys, if I have six, right? If I have six, and now it's Shabbos, what are you going to do? You're going to bring the two tamidim on Shabbos, and then you're going to bring what? You're going to bring the two musafim. You'll have two left over for what? For 2 more days. Good. So now the loy amina, you don't say Yaakov ha'arba b'Shabbos l'tamidim musafim v'yevatel tamidim yom tov sheni, and you mevatel the tamidim yom tov sheni shel Rosh Hashanah. You don't do that. Guys, watch. I have six korbanos. Yeah. If you're going to say that the Talmud takes precedent, right? Musafim takes precedent. What should you do? On Shabbos, you're going to bring two tamidim. Then and you're going to bring two musafim. Now I have two more korbanos, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do Rosh Hashanah? What are you going to do Rosh Hashanah? If you bring the tamidim on the first day, then you okay. So what? So look at Rashi says, the lo yamin and Yaakov ha'arboyim b'Shabbos the tamidim musafim, bring all four on Shabbos. V'yivatel tamidim, and this gimel, I think it says yom tov sheni. I think what does the gimel say? V'yivatel tamidim the yontif, right? Because not you mivatel tamidim on yontif, right? You're going to mivatel tamidim on yontif. So Rosh Hashanah, Alma Tamidim the Sheni, Adifami Musfe Shabbos. The Tamidim are Musaf. In other words, you're not going to go ahead and bring the Musafim on Shabbos. You're going to leave it over to ensure that you have each and every day, you have Tamidim. 3 days, 6 animals, all for Tamidim. So you see that what? The Talmud takes precedent. You see that the Talmud takes precedent. Ella the lav lesle shmamina tamidim adifi shmamina that tamid is adif because you're not bringing the musafim before and you're saving it for the tamidim. Says the Gemara loy lam de islay. You have a lot of karbanis, so it's not negei ashayel at all. V'achi ka'amar ein poichasin mishesha tloyim hamvukarim belishkas hatloyim dalid yomim koidim shchita. 4 days before the geshachten, you need at least 6. So it's not saying you have a total of 6. It's saying 4 days before the geshachten, you have to make sure that it has to be at least 6. Umani ben bagbaghi. The Tanya ben bagbag oimer minayin letomid shetoyin bikur dalid yomim. How do you know that the Talmud requires 4 days? So guys, it's not pshat like you thought you have 6 only. You have more than 6. But every 4 days before, those 6 have to be checked out because you have to check them out for 4 days. Where do you know you check them out for 4 days? Talmud Laima Tishmeru Lahakriv Li B'Moyadai. By the Korban Talmud, it says, watch Lahakriv Li B'Moyadai, Ulahalan Oimer, and later on it says by Pashas Bo, V'Hoya Lochem Limishmeres Ad Arba Asayoim. By Shabbos Hagadol, we tied it to the bed on Yud, and we watched it for 4 days. Ma'ala Halan Toyin Beaker Abayomim, just like by the Korban Pesach, you need a beaker for 4 days. Koidim Shchita, Afkan, so too by the Korban Tamid, Toyin Beaker Abayoim Koidim Shchita. You need 4 days before Shchita. In other words, so we thought that you need 6 korbanos completely, and that's it, and therefore you have a raya. No. You have many more korbanos. You're just telling a din. 4 days before the Geshachten, you have to have at least 6 there. Why? Because it's going to be hard to find when you're not. You need 4 days for a beaker. So you can't be spiced to the Shiloh. Yes, Harold.
Just overall, the concept. If I have something that I'm mechuyev now, korban musaf, but I have a tummy that I could that I've put away for tomorrow. There's no chiyuv yet for it. I have the musaf. I'm chiyuv that now. I have to have what I have now. There's no chiyuv. The chiyuv didn't arrive yet for the tamid for tomorrow. So I just don't understand how I reconcile that.
But you want to know. I'm not being mekayim a mitzvah, right? Because I can't. If you wouldn't have any korban, could you do it?
No, I can't do anything. I have no korban.
Okay, so now, why don't you view it? I'm just saying in svara. Why don't you view it as if I need this for the korban tamid because it takes precedent? It's like I don't have a korban now. I can't do it.
But I don't have the chiyuv now for the korban
again,
tomorrow.
But again, if I have a din of tadir and a din of tadir and I have a din of kaddish, the tadir takes precedent. I hear you kasha. Okay, I'll think about it. I hear you kasha. But I would think I'm saying al svara. It could be that I can't be mekayim now. Why? Because I have to save it for a better time. I can't be mekayim. In other words, the chiyuv, you're saying there's a chiyuv right now. Maybe it's a din in the korban. This korban doesn't have a din of a musaf. This korban is a tamid. I could say that, right? If tadir takes precedent over musaf, so good that it only comes the next day. But right now, since I know it's going to be the next day, I can possibly view this as not as being korban.
But I have a right because I hear what you're saying. But if I had enough kabbanis for the next day, what would I bring now? The musaf, because I have enough, sufficient amount for the next 2-3 days. So the only reason that I can bring that
therefore I have a chalois of a musaf. Right now I don't have a chalois of a musaf hesh. In other words, this animal is not a musaf. You're saying right now, you're viewing it as a chiyuv on the day. So if you have a day, you have an animal, bring it on the day. Let me ask you, if this animal was a chatas, could you bring it today? If this animal was an asham, could you bring it today? In other words, if you view the animal, I'm answering your question.
Okay. All right. I hear. I have to process that. Okay. All right.
I hear you, Kasha. Hesh. I hear you, Kasha. Don't. I'm not doing away with your Kasha. I'm telling you a shtickle chiddush. I mean, I hear you, Kasha. I'm answering you a regular achas. I'm not telling you I'm correct. I'm saying there's a svara to view it that way. You're handling the day. The Gemara is asking a kasha l'chayra. What takes precedent? So you see that what? I'll speak it over with Yehona's son. I'll see what he says. Okay. Amalei Ravina Ravashi. Hani Shisha Shiva Have. 1 second. These 6 are really 7. Why? The Ikat Safra the Tilsa B'Shabbata. Guys, Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, yeah? Guys, you see from the Gemara that we're learning that Rosh Chodesh is on Shabbos. Guys, Ravavi, you see? Ravavi, where are you? You see that from the Gemara's Kasha, you see that it was on Shabbos, because it's saying Tuesday morning you need a korban tamid. So obviously Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh must have been on Sunday. Rosh Hashanah must have been on Sunday, right? Okay, anyway. So now, l'chayra, how can you tell me you need 6? You need 7. Where are you going to go? Tuesday morning, right after Rosh Hashanah, you're going to go find a carbon like that? Well, taimech tanaya have the ikka tipanya the mali Shabbat. 1 second, you need 8. You need 1 erev Shabbos, right? Says well like kasha the lebasa the akrav kamar. We're speaking after you were makrav the 1 erev Shabbos. Says when we come up shiva have it's taka. You need 7. Ella Tana Ba'almakoi. The Tana is not speaking specifically on, he's not speaking specifically on Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah. He's speaking stamazoi. You always need 6 animals there, right? Umay Kidei l'Shabbos, Ubeis Yom Tovim Shel Rosh Hashanah, Simana Ba'alma. He's giving a siman. You know how do you remember 6? Think Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah, which will guarantee 6. So really, of course, you need 7. But he said 6 is a way of remembering 6. How do you remember 6? Because Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah. What's the raya? Dekanami diktani kidei l'Shabbos v'loy kitani l'Shabbos ulebeis yom tavim Rosh Hashanah. Shema mina. Guys, go back to the statement. Back on the Yom Beis. Ein poichasin mishisha, about 5-6 lines down. Ein poichasin mishisha tloyim hamivukarim b'lishkas hatloyim. Now, why do you have the word kedei? Tloyim lish Shabbos, for Shabbos, and shnei yom tovim shel Rosh Hashanah. What's the word kedei doing there? If it means Shabbos, just right. I need 6 lish Shabbos, for Shabbos. What does kedei mean? Like, meaning like. So therefore, it's meduyik that it's not really telling us the halacha of Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah. Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah are just a siman of 6, right? Einachinami. If it was Shabbos going into Rosh Hashanah, you need 7. You'd need 7 for what? For post Rosh Hashanah, Tuesday morning. But over here, it's almost like giving us a siman to remember what's the how many days, how many kabbanas do you need to be there before 4 days before? It's a total of 6. Shema mina, that's the raya.